JD Vance just wrote something that honestly is a little shocking, unfortunately not surprising, and Pete Buttigieg had the perfect response to him, absolutely slammed him. Let's get into what JD Vance said. I'm going to talk to you about why he said it, and then we'll get into Pete Buttigieg's response. JD Vance said, if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general on how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Let's see what Harry Sisson said here. Oh my God, amazing. Listen, you slimy con man, snake oil salesman, gremlin lookalike. What? Jeez. There's this thing called the separation of powers where other branches serve as a check on each other. Government 101 teaches us this stuff. Didn't JD Vance go to Yale? Didn't he go to Yale? So here is what the New York Times is reporting. Here's what happened. Here's why JD Vance said this. Federal courts have risen in the first few weeks of Trump's administration as the front lines of a push from state attorneys general and outside watchdogs' efforts to stop the Trump administration from enacting partisan policies through extensive directives and executive orders. That is maybe a nicer way of saying Donald Trump is trying to take an authoritarian takeover of our government, but that's really what's happening. In recent days, those critics have racked up a considerable number of victories as federal courts have blocked some of Mr. Trump's executive actions, at least temporarily. Judges have shut down decrees from Mr. Trump and his officials aimed at ending birthright citizenship, transferring transgender female inmates to male-only prisons, potentially exposing identities of FBI employees who investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and coaxing federal workers to accept deferred resignation. Wow, I did not even realize all that. The judges have been going ham, stopping Trump's authoritarian impulses. No wonder JD Vance and Elon Musk are throwing temper tantrums. And this, from a Reagan-appointed judge, is the quote of the week. The Constitution is not something which, with the government, may play policy games. He said, referring to the 14th Amendment, which endows U.S. citizenship to, quote, all persons born in the United States. Such a change, he added, could be made only through amending the Constitution. Quote, that's how the rule of law works. That is how it works. My fear is they're trying as best they can to thwart the rule of law. Certainly Donald Trump, the lawless president who somehow was able to evade accountability from every criminal act he did, is also now trying to evade any types of check on his power as the executive. And here is what Elon Musk said in this. And then I have Kara Swisher, who is a reporter that is just genius when it comes to Elon Musk and analyzing him. But Elon Musk said, I'd like to propose that the worst 1% of appointed judges, as determined by elected bodies, be fired every year. This will weed out the most corrupt and least competent. Wow. Here's what Kara Swisher says. This is not amusing from a dude with some various ideas. The next step is to hollow out the judiciary and also not follow the rulings which have been against Musk's efforts. The courts have no actual enforcement power, which lies with the DOJ, which is controlled by Trump. This is a very obvious coup for those not paying attention. And she also said on JD Vance, other shoe is dropped. This is coordinated, FYI. This is coordinated. So very scary stuff from Kara Swisher. And I do agree that we are experiencing the beginnings of a coup where Elon Musk, Donald Trump, JD Vance are putting a line in the sand and saying judges' decisions don't matter, don't pay attention to them. The judge's power is actually no match to that of the executive branch, and that the executive branch is allowed to do anything and everything it wants, and judges aren't allowed to stop it, which is obviously not true, but that is what they're trying to fight for. And why they are saying all this stuff is because they want to make it seem like this is inevitable, that this is how it's going to be. And so JD Vance, Elon Musk are not saying these things because they're trying to give some sort of game away. They're saying it because they want to move the suspension of belief towards what they're saying here. They want the American public to think that this is how things are supposed to work. And that's not how things work. Fred Gutenberg here said, shut the fuck up, JD Vance. You, President Musk, and the guy occupying the White House are currently engaged in an attack on America, democracy, and the Constitution. It is a bloodless terrorist attack. The judges are doing their job to defend the law, the Constitution, and democracy. Yeah, they're just doing their job. Here is what Pete Buttigieg said. He said very simply, in America, decisions are about what is legal and illegal are made by courts of law, not by the vice president. Amazing. And actually, Liz Cheney had a really fantastic quote here too. JD Vance, if you believe any of the multiple federal courts that have ruled against you so far are exceeding their statutory or constitutional authority, your recourse is to appeal. You don't get to rage quit the republic just because you're losing. That's tyranny. Yeah, what they're describing here is tyranny. And Pete Buttigieg was not done. He had one more thought, and I love this because it gave me a little bit of hope because things feel a bit hopeless, wouldn't you say? You are not powerless, and he is not unstoppable. Look at and learn from the funding freeze and how quickly he was forced to surrender. And that is the great point to all this, is that they do not have absolute power. And we cannot believe that they do. It is very clear that public pressure works against this administration with the tariffs too. The tariffs they thought were a great idea until the market started to sink. And I'm sure many business people called Trump, JD Vance, and Musk and said, what the hell are you doing? So they still have to act within the walls of public pressure. They certainly don't feel constrained by laws, but they do feel constrained by people and the American people. So it is our job to make sure that when they do something that is insane, we have to be loud. And I think we have started to kind of give a sense of what that can look like this past week with some of the protests that have happened. We just have to be intentional because we can't get loud about everything, obviously. Like Gulf of America, fine. If you want to name it the fucking Gulf of America, whatever. But when it comes to going around judges' orders and trying to kill whole agencies, which is not within the purview of the president, that's when we have to get upset, which we are. And that's good because it works.